It's been 3 weeks since social media shit on me, so it's about time to get back to business here.
That's what Pete just texted. He goes, "Can't wait to see how many clicks we get off of this." That's true. It's all about the clicks, baby.
Oh, yeah, all about the clicks. Oh, yeah, baby. There he is, the double threat, Ahmed Fareed, host, a.k.a. audio producer for this Simms Unbuttoned podcast. How you doing, dude? What's up?
Good, and we did. We created some controversy. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, good. Yep. There's nothing I love more than NFL players and everybody telling me I'm an idiot or whatever else it may be. I mean, I got some people that agree with me too, but we're gonna hit that today a little, right? We're gonna revisit the top 10. I'm gonna give a little bit more explaining on certain guys and why guys were left off, because we never really got into the guys that were left off and why they were left off. So I think that's fine. The thing that drives me crazy, okay, is just this. How many people just see my list and they hear none of the reasoning? They don't listen to the podcast. They have no idea. And so that kind of drives me crazy at times too. But we're going to hit that.
Hopefully none. Hopefully none. I was hoping we would have 100% listenership, but I don't think we've gotten there quite yet. But this is what I like about it, Chris, is that you basically Pete and Matt, great producers, they think about what we should talk about basically on a show by show basis. And so they both had the great idea to talk about wide receivers in our last podcast together. And so you, as a dutiful employee, said, all right, I'll put together a list. And once you did that, you got crushed by NFL players, by fans, by even people who we thought were your friends have now turned foe. And you're just being a good employee, and you take the brunt of the heat on social media. So we appreciate that about you, Chris.
Well, thank you. You know what? I don't care. So I'm willing to take that criticism, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, a lot of the times, and again, I'm not trying to put down people, but I also can keep it into, reality of a lot of these people that are telling me what the ranking should be have never seen an NFL football player in person in their life. Definitely haven't seen a game in person in their life or on field or any of that too. So I got to take that a little into account, at least to make myself feel better. But wide receiver, Ahmed, I mean, listen, I expected to get some backlash. I knew it. It's one of the most controversial, I think, positions in all of football. First off, there's a lot of talented guys. Second off, the stats can skew the conversation if you're in a good offense and got a great quarterback, or if you're in a horrible offense and have a shit quarterback. You could be the best receiver in football, and nobody knows you're really the best unless you know what to look for and what you're seeing. So it'll be fun, and I'm happy to answer some of these questions. But I do feel bad, I do. I like Davante Adams.
Well, you explained it. I mean, like you said though, you were very complimentary, even to the people that you left off the list when you put this all together. And if people actually listen to you word for word, go through the top 10, there's no way they could think you're hating on any of these wide receivers. And I hate that when these lists come out, it's like why do we all need this groupthink exercise? Why is it always no, there's no legitimate top 10 that doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins, or I don't know. I don't care. It's a subjective sport. You have your own personal taste and whatever. Give your own opinion. And if it's different than everyone else, good, because I could get everyone else's opinion, the group opinion, just by looking at the consensus. And that's not what you want. So I don't want to get all riled up on it already, because there's a lot of good stuff to talk about with your top 10 reaction. We will get to that. Yeah, we're going to get to. I loved your conversation with Kyle, your good buddy Kyle Shanahan. Went for an hour. There's so many good things there, so we're going to get into that. There's some reaction from some 49er fans out there, just some general homie questions too. But let's start with the big news, and it comes from a player, Chris, that Jamal Adams. Last time I was with you, we did the Ahmed 99 and the Madden 99, and the Chris Simms 99 was contemplating including Jamal Adams. Am I correct in that? You feel like he is at that point in his abilities in his career where he could command big money and that 99 rating. Jamal Adams traded to the Seahawks, 2 number 1 picks. Your reaction for the first time here on Button to what we saw go down?
Yeah, I mean, a wow moment. a wow moment. I mean, first off, I'm thinking, whoa, Jets, way to go. 2 first-round picks, a third-rounder, got a safety that's a starting caliber safety. So you got that position filled. Wow, way to go, Jets. Joe Douglas continuing to be an awesome GM. But then I went to the Seahawks and I went, yeah, it's time. It's go time. Systems go. You're in the prime of Russell Wilson right now. And Jamal Adams, and listen, I know we were laughing before we started this podcast today because, I am a guy that, I say Aaron Donald's the best defensive player in football. I've probably said 6 other guys are the second best defensive player in football. And Jamal Adams is one of those. But my point is he's in that conversation. I'm not trying to say, definitively he's the second best player in all of football. But I'm just saying there's a handful of guys that we can put in that conversation. And if you said one of them, I'd go, yeah, I understand that. I think you're right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's there in that. So
I think that surprises, real quick on that. I think that surprises a lot of people. Not that, we highly drafted. I think, what was he, number 6 overall, 7 overall by the Jets, 6th pick overall. I think he has just a couple of interceptions, not that ball hawking type of safety, but they use him in a lot of different ways. I would have thought that no one would consider, maybe I'm wrong, but Jamal Adams, that name, you think Khalil Mack, you think Aaron Donald, your number 1 guy. Why is Jamal Adams in that conversation for you? Right.
Well, I think, you bring up the big thing is, first off, you're right. Most people are going to always put pass rushers, right, at that most important position. And that's certainly, there's a lot of them there.
Cornerback,
that are in that
even
conversation.
Too, ahead of safety.
Yeah, shut down corner, certainly in that. But, first off, safety in certain schemes is valued more than corner in certain schemes. And I would say in Seattle, they value safeties more than they value corners. And we'll get into that in a minute. But Jamal Adams said, listen, I'm not worried about the pass, don't always be a prisoner to the stats, as we always talk about. The big thing is he is the best in the box safety in football. And whether that's taking on pulling guards or just shooting through a hole and getting a tackle for a loss, because he can diagnose a play and see the hole as quickly as the running back does. And a lot of the times he gets there and makes the tackle before the running back even gets to the line of scrimmage. He's really special read and reaction wise. He's got a great brain to diagnose plays. Then he has great physical ability. And I mean great. He's 0 to 60 in 2 steps. He's one of the best blitzers in football. That's not a true pass rusher. When it comes for tackles for losses and shooting through your gap and doing that, he's up there as well. And then sideline to sideline, I mean, his speed is special. Now, one of the reasons he's not going to have always great pass defense numbers is, one, a lot of the times he's matched up against a tight end that there's not going to be a lot of quarterbacks, unless it's like Travis Kelce or George Kittle, who are going to drop back and go, oh, I like this matchup, my tight end versus Jamal Adams. So that's going to limit the amount of throws and opportunities he gets to interceptions anyways. But because of that, he's 2-1, Ahmed. He's really almost 3-1. It's like he could be a free safety if you want him to. He's really a strong safety. So free safety, strong safety, linebacker. That's really what he is. He can do all 3 of those things and do them at high level.
There's been times where he's been listed as like a defensive lineman with where he's started the snap and lined up to begin to play.
I wouldn't be shocked, in a defense like Greg Williams where they move some people around every now and then. Yeah, you move him to defense end on a 3rd and 10. Sometimes he comes off the edge of blitzes. Sometimes you bring the blitz on the other side. Now he drops back into coverage and he's comfortable there. So, there's really nothing that he can't do on the football field. And then when you get into, okay, where Seattle's at as a team, I think Seattle has really done a great job the last 2 or 3 years rebuilding their team. And I say right now, the time is now. I'm not saying they're at that pinnacle yet, but I think they've gotten all the pieces that they're getting very close to getting there is what I'm saying. They're on their way. There's no more we got to tear the team down still in certain positions to get back up here. No, I think they're all going there. Some guys are young. Some guys are a little unproven and just need some reps and things like that. But that's why I think it's an awesome trade, let alone this is one of those defenses that this position is vital for its success. And, again, not that you need a superstar here, but you need a special talent. And Jamal Adams is going to be their new Cam Chancellor. I love Cam Chancellor, the man. But Jamal Adams is more physically gifted than Cam Chancellor, and he's going to be asked to do those same things, and that's where I get excited about it.
Physically gifted in what ways?
Oh, well, I mean, Jamal Adams, I would argue, is like his ability to accelerate, his ability to run people down with just pure physical speed and things like that. They're greater than Cam Chancellor's. They're both awesome hitters. They're both awesome open field tacklers. I think Jamal Adams has more in coverage because Jamal Adams runs 4.4. I mean, he just at 230 pounds. He's a special specimen,
Yeah.
Let alone he has a special Seattle type attitude. I've spent some time with Jamal. His dad also played with my dad on the Giants, and he's always ready to go. It doesn't matter if there's a game or not. He's ready to knock your head off. That's kind of the way he's wired, and I think that's going to fit really well with the personality of the Seattle Seahawks too.
Pete's chimed in. He said, per PFF, Jamal Adams pass rushed on 90 snaps last season. Only safety with more was Chuck Clark from the Ravens. So he is doing everything. He's in coverage. He's rushing the passer. He's helping it on the run. What about the 2 first-round picks that Seattle gave up? I mean, the consensus out there is that they overpaid for a safety. Even if it is very important for the Seattle Seahawks and the scheme that they run, normally you might overpay for a Khalil Mack type, a rusher, or a lockdown corner, not normally a safety. My idea and my perspective on this is, it's like a Lamborghini or a really expensive car. Is it really worth that money? Probably not. But if you don't pay it, you're not going to get it. And sometimes you just want the Lamborghini, no matter what it's going to cost. You feel like you're going to be better for it. And so Jamal Adams is like the Lamborghini. Did they overpay for it? Probably. But if you don't do it, you don't get it. And if you're going to win a Super Bowl, you might need it. So that's the way I look at it. What do you think?
I think that's a really great way to put it. You're right. And they needed another difference maker on the defensive side of the ball. We've seen the last few years their defense can't get any big stops and any big moments. They're not capable anymore. Somebody like Jamal Adams is going to give them more versatility within their scheme to be a little more daring and creative that way, let alone just him being out there and being a better football player is going to help them out a lot too. And so I'm with you. And, again, listen, it's expensive, yes. The Seattle Seahawks, I'm willing to sit here and bet, though, that at no time over the next 2 or 3 years will they have a draft pick that is below 20. So the Jets are going to get something at the end of the first round. I would bet it's going to be somewhere between 20 and 32, both of these first-round picks. Seattle says, okay, so what? We got a lot of the pieces of our team in place already. We got good receivers. We got the quarterback. They finally turned around the O-line. They got stable of running backs. Defensive line got a lot of guys. They need maybe another difference maker, but they got some guys that I think they think are going to, show themselves this year or rise to the top as far as like their 2018 draft or 2019 first round pick in LJ Collier. They got Quandre Diggs at free safety. So they're looking at it like, okay, what do we give a shit about 2 first round picks a year from now and 2 years from now? And take this into account, Ahmed. I mean, this has been one of the masters of the mid-rounds over the last decade. I mean, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Russell Wilson. Let's just go through the list. They're all middle-round picks.
DK Metcalf, second round last year. They probably feel like they can find starters later. I was just going to say that too. Yeah, later in the draft.
No doubt. They're not like, oh gosh, first round, we got to get that one player that's going to change our team. No, they believe in building a team, and they know what they want. And they've been able to find value in every draft. I mean, Bobby Wagner's a second-round pick. KJ Wright's a fourth-round pick or something around there. I mean, it's unbelievable. So they have the ultimate confidence, too, that, okay, we missed that. We don't have 2 first-round picks. Whoopie-doo. That money now we can give it to Jamal Adams, right? Because that's the other thing people forget about. It's 2 first-round picks they don't have to pay. Then now they can give the money to Jamal Adams and maybe some other players, too, or wherever that goes. So I really liked it from Seattle's standpoint. I did. And like I said, I just think the time is now for Seattle. And they're really close to being one of the best teams in football. And this course brings them even closer.
We'll get more on exactly how he fits in the Seattle scheme, because you talked about it with Kyle again, and you've talked about it on this podcast before. And I think it's really interesting your thoughts on that scheme. But I want to get the Jets angle first, real quick, because the consensus there is, if Seattle overpaid, then it's obviously good for the Jets. They get 2 first-round picks, even if they're in the the low 20s or wherever they're going to be over the next 2 years. You got to take 2 first-rounders. I think ultimately, if you're the Jets, though, Chris, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you just don't want to lose guys like Jamal Adams, and you don't want to have a great player clash with your head coach. That's just not something you want. It's not a generally good team building to have your best players clash with your head coach in 1 out.
No, definitely not. And again, I think a little bit of that has been blown out of proportion too. Like, I know Jamal Adams took a few shots at Adam Gase at the end of last week. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, let's not all jump on it and be like, oh, Jamal Adams, word of law, what he said must be real. Come on. He's been doing this for 3 weeks. He was making fun of the owner. I mean, he was getting on him last week. So he was doing anything he could to get out of town. So now let's not take everything he said as like literal, oh, he knows everything about the Jets and he's spot on. No, he was mad they didn't pay him. They didn't want to pay him yet, whatever that may be. So he started to throw some crap onto the pile to make sure he got out of there a little quicker than he did. Again, from the Jets standpoint, and I think with Jamal Adams, the marriage was over. And I think it's great that they were still able to get these type of assets when everybody knew that this was going to be ugly if it got into training camp, or Jamal Adams certainly didn't want to be there in New York. So I give Joe Douglas a lot of credit for still making this deal happen, even though he was a little bit, behind the 8 ball here with some of the circumstances and the fact that, Jamal Adams had made it so publicly known that he didn't want to be there anymore.
You defend Adam Gase more than most, I feel like. Why do you feel like you do that? Because it's not like this is necessarily isolated. It's not a trend. You're right. It's not a trend. Right. And Jamal Adams may have been disgruntled with the whole organization, GM, ownership, head coach. But there have been incidents in the past, specifically his press conference with the Jets, which was odd.
Not a good look. I'm not going to lie either. I mean,
but why do you find yourself defending him more than most, you think?
Well, I think, first off, listen, am I biased a little? Yeah, sure, I am. I know him. I know the makeup of the man. I was with him in Denver. He was the wide receiver coach when I was playing the Denver Broncos. And, of course, I followed his career very closely. He's 100% invested into the sport. I know that. But I think down in Miami, again, it's I'm going to use some of the Ryan Tannehill, bullets that I got there. Well, he went to the playoffs with that team. Who the hell was there that you can keep people? If we had people here on the spot right now to go, who was on that team in the Miami Dolphins? People, they wouldn't be able to spit out some of the guys on the team if I asked them. So it wasn't like he had this all-star cast down in Miami. No, he was the coach. He wasn't the GM. He didn't always have full say. So he had some crap around him. The team wasn't smartly built. And yet, he kind of kept them competitive every year. Now, he gets to the New York Jets, and everybody just sees new head coach, and they think, he should turn it around. Turn around what? Who the is on the Jets that's going to turn around anything from last year? Like, well, what about that team said, oh, whoa, they're going to go to the playoffs? I thought they could be a pain in the ass, certainly, and tough, but injuries, Sam Darnold getting, mono, and a bunch of other stuff that went down, I just don't know what people realistically think. So I think he's a little easy to pile on because of the press conference and things like that. But what I'm saying is I think the results on the field are a little bit better than what everybody wants to give him credit for, just because he's not always winning, at the podium in the post-game press conference.
Do you make anything of Le'Veon Bell kind of sniping at it? I think it was a subtweet. I don't think he referenced Jamal Adams by name, but he was surly that he wanted out so badly. I think he was a big part, or at least a part of the recruitment of Le'Veon Bell to New York, and now he bolts and Le'Veon's still stuck there. You make anything of that?
Well, a little. I mean, I'm sure Le'Veon's a little pissed. I mean, I'm sure a lot of Jets players are pissed. One, Jamal Adams was the best player on the team. He's not there anymore, so that stinks. Le'Veon Bell, from everything we kind of know, it sounds like, Jamal Adams was a big part in recruiting him to get there and selling him on the culture of the Jets. So he's like, what the hell? Now you're the one that wants out of here? You're the one that told me to come here.
And Jamal Adams is not too keen on the culture right now. leaving town.
Right. And now they're all left to answer the questions, Ahmed. I mean, I saw an interview with Frank Gore this weekend. Now he's having to talk about Jamal Adams' comments and everything like that. So they're all looking at like, damn, you put us in a tough spot now to where we got to answer questions about the owner and the head coach. And let me just tell you, like, when nobody talks about the owner, nobody, like, you want to talk about unwritten rules in an NFL locker room, man, everybody's scared of the owner. Nobody messes with the boss man, okay?
Yeah.
So you better be a star and know you got some other avenue out of town if you're going to start bagging on the owner like he did last week. So I think that's worked. Now, last thing with the Jets, too, I think we got to hit on. Hey, if Mike McCagnon was the GM, I'd go, well, who the knows what happens with these draft picks? Who the hell knows? He could draft two guys that might never play and ever again. Like Nate, like Hackenberg, who he drafted in the second round from Penn State. I could throw better with my other arm than he could, but he drafted him in the second round. Joe Douglas, you give him 2 first-round picks? Right now, everything I know about the guy from other people and what I've seen just from the evidence of this offseason, I go, he might be able to do something with this and get them started. The Jets, they're still not there. Adam Gase was left a pile of shit. So now they're trying to rebuild their football team. Let's see where it goes. It was a good first step this offseason. Let's see if they can capitalize in the future on these Jamal Adams picks.
They got a couple picks late in the first round. Pete chimes in with Jets traded 5 of their 6 first round picks from 2013 to 2017.
That tells you
6. The D Milliner is out of the league. So wasn't great for the previous regime. Possibly better here for Joe Douglas. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the Seattle scheme. You say that Jamal Adams perfect fit for the Seattle scheme. He's like Cam Chancellor but better. And Pete had the idea to kind of get in, just dive in just for a few minutes here on that Seattle scheme, because you've been very critical of it. You've called it, too simple at times. The rules aren't very complex. It's conducive for players just to play fast and not think a whole lot. You talked about it with Kyle last podcast, and he's very complimentary. Of course, he runs that defense. He said he wanted to run that defense when he became a head coach because for him, it was tough to crack. And I think a lot of times, and what he even said in the podcast, Chris, is it's tough to crack a lot of times because to run it, you got to have really good players, at least to run it to the best of its ability. And when you play against really good players, any defense is going to be really tough. So let's just start with this. What is the Seattle scheme? What is the Seattle scheme? Can we just start there real quick?
Sure. Yeah. It's really what it's a cover 3 press bail coverage, right? And if anybody would listen to the interview with Kyle Shanahan, we kind of go back into the history of it. It really started with the Tampa 2 defense. All the people that are up in Seattle that came up with this defense, they were all in Tampa with me. Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator of the Chargers, who runs that same defense still, he left Tampa and went up to Seattle with Pete Carroll when he got the job there. And that's where it started. Pete Carroll used to be down in Tampa in the offseason once a week my first few years in the NFL because he would hang out with our defensive coaches and pick their brains and steal things they were coaching and ideas like that. So it is off of the Tampa 2 scheme. But now it's 3 deep, right? It's a single safety deep. The corners, they kind of play up in the face of the wide receivers, but they're not playing man-to-man. They're going to – and I'm not going to stand up, but they are going to jam. And
we haven't had you stand up in so long. It makes me want to get back. Makes me hate coronavirus even more. The fact that it's limited to standing up.
I know. But that's what they do. So it's jam, and then never let anybody buy you deep. Right? That's really it's a zone coverage almost all the time. Now, my buddy Kyle Shanahan, I made the point that, sometimes it's too simple because the quarterback always knows what you're lining up in. Well, he didn't disagree with that, but he also said the simpleness allows them to play fast. Everything is always sound, right? And if you have a talented defense, you can certainly play that type of scheme. He argued to me that there's a few more nuances within the defense than maybe I'm giving it credit for, which of course I'm not going to disagree with him. I know he knows that, so I think, with all that, and the last point I wanted to make about the scheme is, Kyle makes the reference of it's hard to gash that defense. It is hard to gash it. They know what they're doing, and they know where they're susceptible to being gashed. So they're always looking for it because everybody kind of runs. They call them Seattle beaters. It's Peyton Manning started it the year after they lost to the Super Bowl to Seattle. They played in the regular season. They started doing these Seattle beaters, and everybody started to copy it, going, "Ooh, this stresses this coverage out." But that's what it is. It's 3 deep, 4 under, and one of those 4 under is the strong safety, a.k.a. Jamal Adams or Cam Chancellor. And then it's not a blitz-heavy defense. It's a lot about, hey, send 4, we're going to drop 7 into coverage. And, of course, a lot of that is predicated on how good that front 4 is.
Right.
And that front 4 better be good to make that defense work. And I think that's what you see more times than not.
So who runs this in some form right now in the NFL?
Oh, let's go through it. No, and okay, so I'm going to break it down by divisions just so I'm pulling it up on my computer.
Pull up the teams. Pull up your teams.
I'm pulling up the teams. Nobody in the AFC East runs it, okay? Nobody. AFC North, nobody runs it there. Cleveland will be running a form of it with Joe Woods there now, who comes from San Francisco with Shanahan. So he's going to be running a form of it. Cincinnati, no. Houston, no. Tennessee, no. The Colts run it. So the Colts run this scheme, okay? The Jacksonville Jaguars run the scheme. So there's 2 out of 4 teams in the AFC South. In the AFC West, the Chargers run it. Now, just to want to make my point about Jamal Adams and the Cam Chancellor thing, who did the Chargers draft in the first round 2 years ago? Derwin James, right, because Gus Bradley's there and he needs his Cam Chancellor for his defense, a.k.a. Derwin James. So there's them. They run it. Oakland runs a similar scheme, but it's not that. Denver, no. Kansas City, no. Okay, now you get to the NFC East. And right now, nobody in the NFC East runs it. The Cowboys did, but they've made the change. They fired their defensive staff. So nobody there. Nobody in the NFC North. Minnesota's similar, but not the same. And then you get to the NFC South, and it is the Atlanta Falcons. They run that scheme, and that's it there. And then you go to the NFC West, and San Francisco and Seattle, of course, run that scheme. So I don't know how many teams I just said there.
I should have been keeping tally. I think like 6, 7 or 8. Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in there. 7 or 8, certainly.
7. Pete says 7. Pete was keeping track. Cleveland, Jacksonville, good. Colts, Chargers, Atlanta, San Francisco, and Seattle. So 7 teams. That's significant a number there, and it might not all be the same, but that's the basic principle. So I'm gonna guess. I don't know your answer on this one. Kyle said it was the defensive line pass rusher. That's the most important thing you need in this Seattle scheme. But you're also talking up the importance of a Jamal Adams type, the Cam Chancellor, the strong safety. And so are you going to say which is more important to have in the Seattle schemes? Is it the Jamal Adams, or is it that pass rushing defensive line?
It's the pass rush. It is. There's no doubt. That would be the number one thing. And that's what made Seattle. Think about them back in the day. It was Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Chris Clemens. I mean, they had those 3 guys with another big guy, in the middle that could rush the passer. Think about the Chargers right now. Nick Bosa, Melvin Ingram, right? The 49ers, of course. Yeah. Joey Bosa, sorry. The 49ers, of course, with Nick Bosa now and Dee Ford, right? I mean, you talk about the Chargers with Ingram and Bosa, of course, what the 49ers got, what the Jaguars are doing. Hey, the Falcons have been trying to do it, right? I mean, they drafted Vic Beasley. They got Dante Fowler there now. They also drafted, what was it, Tack McKinley in the first round a few years ago. So, they've tried to do it. They just missed out a little bit. But the front 4, without a doubt, the Dallas Cowboys, we know that front 4 was legit, right, the last few years. Mm-hmm. So that's really where it starts. Because just like my defense in Tampa, Monty Kiffin, Tony Dungy, they didn't want to blitz. That's why they had Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney in Indianapolis. He goes, well, I don't want to blitz. I want to keep 7 guys in pass coverage. Can't we just find some great pass rushers? And yeah, Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice and Booger McFarland, and of course what the Colts had, that was special. And that's what makes that defense go more than anything, no doubt.
And so then do you go safety after that, or do you go corner? Because Richard Sherman obviously was very important for them. Jalen Ramsey with the Jacksonville Jaguars, very important for them. What position is more important next?
I'm gonna go linebacker. But linebacker and strong safety are really close to me.
Ooh, okay.
I know, and I'm gonna give linebacker the edge.
Wow.
I am. I'm gonna go with them next because there's a lot on their plate too. You know, when you're only rushing 4 and you're not blitzing guys, they got to be great in coverage. They got to be able to cover a lot of space in zone coverage. And, of course, you know, run fit-wise, they got an important job there too. And it's very similar to the strong safety. I mean, it really is. But I think ultimately what I look at, hey, there's a reason, you know, the 49ers spent all that money on Quan Alexander last year. The Chargers drafted, you know, Murray in the first round out of Oklahoma this year. The Jags got Miles Jack, the Deion Jones with the Atlanta Falcons, right? These are guys that have speed, so they can cover. They're almost like strong safeties in their own way, but yet they hit like they're 250-pound linebackers. So the Bobby Wagners of the world, because that's the quarterback of this defense. So
Sure.
To me, I would put them 2. And then like the strong safety position, I want to put 2B. Almost, but I'll say 3 to not cop out of the exercise. Now, Corner, Ahmed, I think is last on the defense. I think that's why you've seen the Jaguars get away from Jalen Ramsey. I think it's why you saw the Seahawks not pony up big money anymore, and they haven't really tried to spend money on a big corner either in free agency or do that. You don't see big-time, like, superstar corner with the Chargers. I don't think my buddy Kyle Shanahan wants to spend big money on corners either. It's a zone defense. If you just have a guy with a certain, you know, skill set and physical attributes as far as size and length, because if you look around the league, the corners that play this defense, they're all tall and long. Why, Ahmed? Because it's about that jam, right? You got long arms, you can jam. Now you run deep. You got usually long speed when you're a longer type guy to where you never let up the big play or do anything like that. And I think the more this defense is caught on fire through the NFL, I think more of these teams have gone, wait, we don't really play man, so why do we want to pay a corner, you know, $18 million a year to play zone coverage? So that's why I would say the corner position probably last, and that's not easy to say. I mean, I know Richard Sherman was the man. Don't get me wrong here. But that's why that defense was extra special. They had special people at every position, let alone at that time the scheme was somewhat new to the NFL, so people couldn't figure it out. But I think corner is last, in my opinion, as far as the importance of this defense.
Let's split up the 2 safeties too. Let's make that free safety, strong safety, because you got Jamal Adams, you got the Cam Chancellor type, but then you got the Hall of Fame to be Earl Thomas there too. Right. I mean, they both seem very important to this defense, but how do you parse those 2 positions out?
Yeah, so I think if I went D-line 1, linebacker 2, just barely over the strong safety at 3, and then free safety would be 4. It is very important. Now, free safety in this defense, you know, you're just a center fielder a lot of the times, right? You know, it's all about, hey, deep, we don't want you to let up any deep posts. If they do throw deep go routes on the outside, you need to have unbelievable range and things like that. And they also want to cheat a little bit. And this is where Earl Thomas was great because he had 3 rockets up his butt in his prime of his career to where, you know, he could backpedal and pass coverage, but he was smart. And as soon as he saw the run, he could fly up there and get involved in the run game and be an extra body, even though he wasn't supposed to be that extra body that was supposed to be there. And Quandre Diggs is that guy for Seattle right now who's a really damn good player too. He's not Earl Thomas, don't get me wrong, but yeah, free safety, Jimmy Ward for the 49ers, he plays free safety. And also within this defense at times, you play that position at free safety. You might get matched up on the slot and some sort of zone coverage in certain situations too. And, that's why it is important. But, to me, that's why I'm excited about Seattle in this trade, Ahmed. I look at their D-line and go, it's pretty good. Okay. I wouldn't be shocked if they make one more play at Jadeveon Clowney here before training camp's over. Linebacker, Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright. They drafted the Jordan Brooks kid at the end of the first round. So he'll be the replacement to Bobby Wagner, I would think, in the next year or two. And now you got the safety position set up. You start to go, damn, okay. And then they got long corners as is there already. So that's why I'm excited about Jamal Adams in Seattle.
And you talk about the ways that you can beat Seattle's defense, the Seattle beaters that are out there. I got a question from ATL Niner that says, is Jamal Adams' impact as an edge rusher and setting the edge on running plays mitigated by the 49ers using a fullback more as a blocker? So the 49ers, Kyle Juszczyk, such a huge part of their offense. Is that one of the ways that you can beat a Seattle defense?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, what Kyle does with that fullback more than anything is, hey, the Seattle defense, they try to intimidate you or scare you out of running the football because there's 8 guys at the line of scrimmage always. So they'll play 8-man fronts, and you're going, I don't want to run the ball. And they're going to get back into pass coverage, but they're just trying to scare you with numbers to get out of the run game. Where Shanahan's brilliant is Shanahan finds ways to still run the ball against that 8-man front. And then where he's also brilliant and why he's made the fullback popular again in the NFL, think about your Jamal Adams, right? Or think about being a linebacker and playing them. Like, okay, it's a run for 4. Okay, got to get Mozart. Got to get Tevin Coleman. And then all of a sudden you run up in the hole because Jimmy looks like he's about to give the ball to, Mozart again. And you're worried about Juszczyk coming at you, and you're going, okay, here I'm going to take him on the lead blocker. And you go, whoa, wait, he's running by me. What? Oh, he's going on a pass. It's play-action pass. That's where it can stress the defense out. And I would think that's a big reason that Pete Carroll wants Jamal Adams. I would think he's very aware of he's got to deal with that damn Kyle Shanahan every year and some of the things he does. And now Jamal Adams gives him a little more flexibility because he can match up with Kittle. He can match up with Juszczyk. And then, of course, he's a great blitzer, too. And I think that's what's probably appealing to them from that standpoint.
It's so interesting to see and hear Kyle talk about it, and maybe Pete Carroll's doing the same thing. You have to, if you're a defensive-minded coach, you almost have to be, just as focused on the other side of the ball. Kyle said it, too, when he was coming up the coaching ranks. Coaches told him, I think it was Gruden that told him, focus on defense, right? You're going to learn more about offense by studying defense than you might learn by just studying exclusively offense. And so the fact that Kyle runs that defense, thought it was the toughest to scheme against, he's thought of ways to beat it and combat it. And that's been really useful taking on the Seattle Seahawks. We got a lot of takeaways, Chris, from your chat with Kyle, which, by the way, if you're a 49er fan and you're listening to this podcast right here, you got to go back. And you have not listened to the Kyle Shanahan talk. It was an hour. Chris strung him along. He promised he would only go a half hour, but because he's good friends with Kyle, he just kept asking questions, and Kyle's so nice, he had no choice but to answer them. But we got one here from, Gunplay Hot Glue that asked, am I crazy or does Shanahan sound like a more subdued, non-radio voice, Ahmed Fareed? And I thought, you know what? I was in the Bay Area a couple of years. We overlapped 2 years we were there together. I got that before. People said, hey, Kyle Shanahan in a weird way reminds me of you. And I go, that is kind of weird, but I've got it a couple times now, Chris.
I could see it. There's a similarity in the voice. I think if you didn't see the face on the screen and you just had to hear the two voices, I get it. Now, he swears a lot more than you do.
Yes.
But other than that, the tone
of
the voice is similar. Yeah, you don't at all. You're a Boy Scout.
One day, though, I'm just going to totally flip the script. It's going to be like when Britney Spears just totally rebranded herself, and like Christina Aguilera. I don't know why I went back to those two singers.
That's what you went to. That's what you call that. That was 90s. The script. Britney and Christina Aguilera. You couldn't think of a different one?
I mean, those are, Taylor Swift. I don't know why I just thought of that, but one day I'm going to come here. I'm just going to be like, it's the new me, and I'm just swearing the whole pod, but that day is not,
I can't wait. Today. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's happening this decade either.
Here are my big takeaways. I was taking some notes on it. My big takeaways from listening to you talk to Shanahan, and you and him are very similar in the fact that you do not like when I wear an NBC logo when I'm doing your podcast. And he said he does not like to wear the 49er logo when he is not at work. And so you both are very similar. You are very conscious of not being the company man when you're away from the company. I found that very, very interesting.
Got to be an individual, man. Yeah, you can't always, can't always drink the Kool-Aid. Got to be your own man once you leave the workplace. So, and he's always been into, his look a little. And I don't mean to say it like he's like checking himself out in the mirror, but he's a man of style. He wants to look cool. He doesn't want to go out in the streets looking like some idiot. So yeah, he's usually paying attention a little bit.
He did a Florio impression on the pod. It was not a flattering voice or, just what he was saying. It was not flattering at all, but he did a Florio impression there, which I thought was cool. And this is what, one thing I thought about when he was talking, and he just is so honest and talks about keeping the Super Bowl in perspective and not beating yourself up about it, even though it's your life. It can't totally be your life because you still got to be a dad, you got to be a husband, you got to be a man. But I thought it was interesting hearing him talk about growing up. And you always think, your dad, quarterback, one of the best out there. You figure, wow, the influence of the fathers is so huge on all of these, football players, football coaches. He said he went to all these games to watch his dad with his mom. And it just really kind of put in my head once again, it's like, wow, it's like, while dad, was a huge influence, a lot of the times it was mom that was around 80-90% of the time because dad was tied up coaching or playing. I don't know. It just struck me again as like how influential all these moms are of these players out there that maybe are following in their father's footsteps.
Yeah, no, I mean, moms are the key to the NFL. Moms are the glue to just about any good family, and especially a football family. Now, my dad was just a player, and my mom, of course, had a huge part in my life. But when your dad's a coach or a head coach, damn, there's half the year they're not around. So the mom is molding these young men or these kids at that point. The dad is just like, some cool figure that you're like, damn, dad's cool. He's the head coach. I don't see him except maybe once a week during football season, but you watch on TV and you live with it, and it becomes the family business. And, I think for a guy like Kyle and myself, it can go two ways when you grow up in that type of family. You either just go, oh, I love this and I need it in my life forever. And I think that's the way Kyle and I went. Or it goes the way of like, whoa, I'm this fucking sports psycho. I don't want to ever get involved in it. And I think that's what you basically see with a lot of football families. It's one or the other.
We got a question here from Niner Gang that is kind of similar. It touches on what you just said there. Growing up with Kyle, when did you know Kyle had something special? When did you know he had those psycho qualities? So when did you know that he was going to be the guy that was going to follow in his dad's footstep? And he had that ability too. It wasn't just like he wanted to because his dad did it, but man, he can do it because he's got a special mind himself.
Yeah. I always knew he loved. So right away, I mean, we hit it off at Texas, right from day one. It was like he was part of my friend. He transferred from Duke. And, the first day he was there was, hey, what's up? Oh, so nice to meet you. I love, your dad's an awesome coach, blah, blah, blah. And we hit it off, and we were kind of best friends from that day on. So I think what I realized pretty early on was a guy that loved football. So I knew that. He was already talking about being a coach and doing that. And then I started to see his psycho work tendencies and then at college. I mean, he was a psycho in the gym, on the field, doing drill work. I mean, he really was. So he was attacking it like a five-year NFL pro when he was a junior in college. That gave me the inkling to go, okay, he's got a chance. But I think really it was when I was in Tampa, my rookie year, he was at UCLA as like a grad assistant. My second year, he came on there to be quality control. And, I think there's a few things that jump out to me to where I realized like, ooh, okay. And he talked about it. He used to sit on the back of the floor in the defensive coaching staff room. And that's when I was like, damn, he's been here for like 18 hours today already. And he's sitting there, his day's done. He's going to sit there and listen to the defense and how they're coaching it up. So that, and not right away, but once he got a feel for Tampa and everything, he wasn't afraid to challenge Gruden. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way or anything like that. But he would point out things every now and then. And I know Gruden would we'd be sitting there in the quarterback meeting room and he'd look over and be like, yeah, that's a good point. And that's when I was like, all right, Kyle's on his way to something here. And that's really when I started to feel like, okay, he's going to be a head coach. It's just a matter of when.
It was for him, he was talking about how he had to grind so much as a player, and it was so hard to be, not even great, just to be average, to be playable, to maybe have a spot as a backup, that when he got into coaching, he felt like, oh, wow, this is, I can actually do this. And I think we all kind of strive for that in our lives and our career at some point, where he's grinding just as much as a coach as he did as a player, but it's coming to him easier, and he feels like he can be elite at the coaching part of it, and he couldn't necessarily get to that level as a player. We all want to get there. We all want to be that guy that all of a sudden it just clicks, right? And you're like, wow, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm meant to do because my brain somehow works better in this environment. You pushed him on Jimmy. Hold on, man.
We got to hit that because you make the point though. But he's that's it. I mean, I don't mean it. He's a great thinker. It was a great point. He is a great thinker. I mean, really. This is why I put my eggs in the Kyle Shanahan basket a long time ago, and people are always trying to push back against me. You're only saying this because you're a friend. Look, I got a lot of other friends in the NFL. You don't hear me pushing their names the way I used to push Kyle Shanahan's. He lives it. He's very smart. He's not afraid to think outside the box. He's got guts to try things that nobody else will try. And let alone he has the systematic approach that it takes to be, an NFL true top, coach and play caller. And I just remind anybody, listen, this dude had Bill Belichick on the ropes like we've never seen Bill Belichick on the ropes before in a big game. I mean, so that tells you a little something too. And that's why I gave them a chance last year if they had to play New England in the Super Bowl, because I think Shanahan is one of only a few guys in all of the NFL who could really match wits. Maybe not up to Belichick, but at least close to where it's not a landslide in the wits department.
And who knows, if Kyle never got to team up with John Gruden, maybe none of this happens. And Pete wants me to ask you, how many strings did you have to pull with Gruden to get Kyle to Tampa? So basically, if it was a lot, Kyle owes everything he's gotten coaching-wise to you. Your success is all owed to Chris.
It had nothing to do with me. I can still remember the day. We were in my rookie year was over. I think it was my rookie. It might have been at the end of my rookie year, the regular season or early OTAs of the next year. But I can remember Gruden coming into the quarterback meeting room after a practice and going, because this is John Gruden. He always had this little wiggle about it. I just got off the phone with Mike Shanahan. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't think he knew I knew them or knew Kyle and all them yet. I just got off the phone with Mike Shanahan. He says his son wants to work for me more than anybody in football next year. And I was like, whoa, I was ecstatic. I didn't say anything because I didn't want Gruden to be like, wait, you're friends with him? Oh, I'm not giving him the job. That's how it might have gone. So I kept my mouth shut. But I was really excited about it when he came in and said that.
Were you guys able to hang out quite a bit there, or was it weird because he was on the coaching staff and you were with the players?
It was hard. We hung out. We definitely did. But, he's even as a player, I'm busy. A coach is twice as busy. So, and he was doing the dirty work of the organization. So, no, especially during the season, not a lot. Maybe after the game, we'd hang out and have a beer, But it was funny. No, it was really we ended up, taking care of his dog on daily basis and doing all these kind of things because he was coaching so much that me and my wife would kind of help him out with everyday life things at that point because he wasn't married yet.
That's cool. That's fun. I mean, just being able to have a close friend around, even if you can't hang out 24/7, is pretty cool. I was going to ask you about Jimmy G right before you said the point that I made was a really smart point, which I do agree with you with. Jimmy G, you pressed him on Jimmy Garoppolo. You asked a little bit about the Tom Brady and how he is very trustworthy with his players, and so he can deal with those situations well. Did you feel like you had to tread lightly around Jimmy Garoppolo though? Because there have been times you've been critical of Jimmy G and what maybe his ceiling can be. Kyle, obviously very complimentary. I don't think he was lying about Jimmy G, because what we just said, he's very trustworthy. But do you think he's seeing him through rose-colored glasses at all, or do you think he's got a pretty good picture of Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, I mean, does he think more of Jimmy Garoppolo maybe than I do? Yeah, he does. But, I mean, again, he's around him more, and, this is his quarterback, and there's a reason he believes in him. And I think that Jimmy G has shown him enough, on the field and behind the scenes to make Kyle believe he is the man. And, oh, yeah, Tom Brady might want to come here, but that's great. I think my guy's just starting to scratch the surface of what he can be. And that is where I will agree. I mean, again, we've all jumped, the shark a little bit in the conversation of like, oh, Jimmy G, is he the franchise? Is he the guy to carry the team for the next 5 years? He's played 1 year of football as a starting quarterback. So we do have to make sure we keep that, as a checkpoint to be realistic with what we expect out of him sometimes. But I think he's seen enough. And I think, listen, the fact that he told and the 49ers kind of just said, hey, Tom, we like you, respect you, but we're staying with the guy we got, I think that says a lot. I think it says a lot by where Shanahan thinks he's going. I think it also says a lot by the team and their love of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I also think Shanahan made the right decision, because I think what you're going on is, to me, here's the ultimate thing. The 49ers have built a team where they're in the Super Bowl window right now for the next 4 or 5 years. Do you really want to get rid of that quarterback who can be a part of that ride, to just risk it maybe for 1 year with Brady, maybe 2 at the most, and then you're back to the drawing board trying to figure out who your quarterback is, yet your team's a Super Bowl team again? So I think that also had to be in this thinking too, to going, wait, I got this guy going this way, and here's a legend, maybe the best of all time, but he's definitely going that way. They might cross paths this year, and Jimmy's, I would think, becomes better than Brady when it's all said and done by the end of this year.
Yeah, totally reasonable for Kyle to think that he can coach up Jimmy Garoppolo after this is basically, like he said, he had 3 games started as the anointed starting quarterback before last year, and then took him all the way to the Super Bowl. So you think he can get better. I think Kyle's got a lot of faith in that defense as well. So you don't need a top 10, top 5 quarterback right now, currently, with the way the 49ers are constructed. Another thing that I thought was interesting, Chris, was him talking about getting back to business as usual. And I hate COVID-19, and I hate talking about it. Like, it just sucks. The whole thing sucks, because I like you, a big baseball fan, and I don't know if you saw today, 14 Marlins have tested positive. Now, at least 14. It was like 12 players, 2 coaches, and this is baseball, where it's not a contact sport. I mean, high fives is basically the extent of it, and throwing a baseball that someone else has touched, and they're still spreading this. And so it just sucks. He's optimistic that what they're doing can prevent the spread of it. But I go back and forth. Like, some days I'm like, hey, this can happen. We can do this. Premier League over in England was able to do it with very few positive tests, and they were not in a bubble. Baseball is already having trouble 3 or 4 games in. It sucks. I'm glad he's optimistic, but it's just hard for me to be optimistic on the whole thing.
I understand. I mean, it is. It's hard. I think what's made him optimistic, and some of my other friends that I talked to around the NFL, though, was the week in the facility last week, where I think they just saw the protocols that were put in place to make them think that they got a chance here. I think if you talk to a lot of coaches around the NFL about a month ago, they'd have been like, this is a waste of time. There's no way we're playing football this year. We'll go back to work and act like we're going to have a season for a little while, but we're going to all be back home when September starts. And I think that's kind of changed. That momentum's changed throughout the NFL a little bit over the last month. So, we'll see. You're right. It's going to be a balancing act. And coaches, a lot of teams, and they're going to be creative, I think, with how they approach the daily meeting practice schedule. I mean, I've heard some things from some coaches where I go, oh, that's smart, and we'll see where it goes from here. And I think you're going to see a few curveballs thrown by some of these coaches here, even to other things they're going to do to get their teams ready in this weird, time. But I know. Well, listen, the big thing is, oh, really? The Miami Marlins got COVID-19? No. You mean the hot spot of the world? So listen, nothing's going to work normal. No business, the economy, none of it's going to work until our country wants to, take it seriously all the way across the country. Everybody. Forget politics, any of that. So that's what scares me. Yeah, and it pisses me off. The Marlins played the Phillies this weekend. The Yankees were supposed to play the Phillies tonight. Now that game's gotten canceled because the Marlins played the Phillies. And it's fucking up my Monday night now because I wanted to watch that game tonight. So I'm pissed about it.
I know. Hopefully this will all get figured out in 2025 and we'll all be back to normal. So that's the positive here. That's the positive here. You crushed him for his trucker hat. You said it was he was trying to do it, style, and then he said you were sounding like his dad on the trucker hat, which was a slam on you. But then Thunder God C says that Kyle brought up an interesting point in the interview. Why do you button your shirt all the way to the top? So while he may be, going against the grain or actually trying to be part of the grain with young kids with wearing the trucker hat, you have always gone against the grain with buttoning up to the top button. What are the origins of it? I don't know if you've talked about it, at least lately, on the pod here.
Right. It's something I've always dabbled in or did. I mean, you could go back and find me in high school and even 8th grade doing it, 7th grade, middle school. I think really the origins for me were as I was growing and, I went through some big growth spurts and I'm 6'5". The thing that first started me to do is my neck was long. I was like, damn, I got a long neck. Holy shit, am I a giraffe or big bird here? What the hell am I? So I started to do it originally because of that.
Yeah.
Then
it was either that or just lower your neck, and that's not a great. That's a bad look.
I'll play football. I'm middle linebacker.
Yeah, right. You didn't want to play middle linebacker. You wanted to play quarterback.
I wanted to play quarterback. So that's.
And then you looked at Peyton Manning and you said, "Hey, maybe it's good to have a long neck, but I need to do something else to cover it up."
Or I looked at Peyton Manning and said, "Maybe you should button your top button too." but yeah, it was always something I dabbled in, and I would do it here and there. But then I got into the TV business really, and this is really where I started to go 100%. I didn't like the way my collars looked. Some of my shirts might have been a floppy collar stuff. I just didn't like the way it looked. And I just started to do it more and more often. And I started to go, damn, I like the way I look like this anyways. And it's just a nice, clean, simple look. And I just stayed with it. And I got a lot of crap from a lot of people, but this is what I like. So screw off.
You've told me that in college at Texas for a while, you succumbed to the peer pressure, correct?
I did. Definitely.
Yes.
I did. I had I think even in early NFL, there was a few times where I came, guys were like, what are you, a nerd? What are you where's your ruler and pencil at? And it kind of I got peer pressured off the top button look, but I'm at an age now where I don't give a damn and I'm doing what I like.
I like that. How can you not respect that, right? It's totally unique to you. I think I see a few other people doing it out there, but they're usually like European models of some sort for GQ magazine. So you're basically on an island right here, and that takes a lot of balls. And so I give you a lot of credit. It's a good look for you. Last bit of this podcast, Chris, can we talk about the reaction to your wide receiver rankings? No offense to Kurt Warner, because he blasted you on your top 40 rankings a year ago. And that got pretty big. But I think the reaction to your wide receiver top 10 may be the most of all time here, Chris. You got some heavy hitters chiming in.
I know I did. I mean, it was I felt like last week, every day I looked at my Twitter and I was just like, damn, gosh, I got a lot of comments. Damn, I want to get in an argument with that guy, but I don't want to get in an argument with that guy and be there in a Twitter war, for an hour and wasting my day that way. So again, I'm not sitting here trying to say I'm right about everything in the world. I'm just a guy that's been around football a lot. I study it a lot. And this was not an easy exercise. Let me just tell you, top 10 receivers was much harder than top 10 quarterbacks for me. Because I think there's almost 20 guys, I feel like, a receiver that you could put in the top 10 wide receiver conversation. And I know I let Davante Adams, Jarvis Landry, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. I mean, Kenny Galladay, Adam Thielen. I mean, listen, if somebody out there was like, I think, Kenny Galladay is the 10th best receiver, not like you said, Cortland Sutton, I wouldn't be like, you idiot, you're fucking stupid. I would go, yeah, I get it. I mean, Kenny Galladay's damn good. It was tough. This is my damn top 10. I got reasons for every of them. So let's go.
So here are the responses. If you don't know Chris's top 10, go check out his Instagram. He's got the 10 on there right now. So Davante Adams is not in your top 10. And you look at a lot of other lists out there, he's like 5 or, not much lower than that, maybe, between the 5 and 10 range, but mostly in the top 10. He did not make your top 10. Davante Adams took note of that and tweeted, "Everyone give Chris Simms the attention he is seeking, LOL." That one burns, Chris. That was a dig.
It definitely was a dig. There's no doubt about it. Now, especially a dig to me because that's not why I do this, right? I mean, I am not doing this for clicks or anything like that. So, listen, Davante Adams is a great football player in a lot of ways. You hearing me okay right now? Because my ear pods are about to die.
I am. Yep, you're coming through loud and clear, Chris.
All right, I just want to make sure
Davante Adams hears this too, so he doesn't crush you again.
Well, he might crush me again regardless. But again, there's a lot to like about his game. He's certainly got good size. He's a good route runner. But to me, I don't look at him first off and go, "Oh, this is one of the physically elite receivers in football." No, I mean you'd be hard pressed to find too many plays of Davante Adams doing something with the ball after the catch. It doesn't happen a lot, okay? Now, people talk about his route running and his double moves and all that. He's really good at it. I'm not trying to say he's not. But a lot of the double move stuff is not because of him. I mean, it's because of number 12. When number 12's throwing a slant route at 104 miles per hour and the quickest release you've ever seen, DB's got to react quick. And so when he does it to you 3 or 4 times, and now all of a sudden he gives Davante the old wink, wink, don't run the slant, run the double move, okay, yeah, that's great. But to me, that's predicated on Rodgers' talent, not Davante Adams, all right? And then, they'll get into, listen, his stats are going to be good. He scores touchdowns, definitely. But is the greatest red zone quarterback in the history of the world, So, I mean, James Jones couldn't catch a touchdown with the other 4 teams he played for. And then he would lead the NFL in touchdown receptions when he would play for Green Bay. Why do you think that was? Because even when he was covered, he was like, "Oh, the ball's there. Oh, touchdown. Woo, I didn't get open or anything." So I'm not trying to take a shot at him or anything like that. Again, he's an awesome football player. But I think between what he does after the catch, some of the things we want to give him love for, I don't think are totally him. And then he's not a guy that teams are going, "Oh, if we leave our guy man to man, he's just going to burn us all day long." No, he's not. He's not that kind of physical specimen that's going to do that. So I think from all those reasons, that's why I had him just outside the top 10.
So then what do you say to Stephon Gilmore?
I mean, why is this so crazy? He has 1,000-yard receiving season in his career. And people act like he's fucking Antonio Brown or like Julio Jones. I was surprised by this backlash more than anything. I really was.
Yeah. Darius Slay was part of the backlash too. He said, "Yeah, he big tripping, LOL." He thought you were big tripping, not even just tripping. Like you were big tripping.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's fine. That's okay.
So Stephon Gilmore is also a guy that probably thinks you're big tripping because last offseason, there's a video of Stephon Gilmore talking about some of the receivers out there, and the 2 top releases in the game off the line of scrimmage, he says, were Keenan Allen and Davante Adams, 2 players who were left off your top 10. And I do feel bad because while we did discuss Davante Adams not being in your top 10, I feel like we totally didn't talk about Keenan Allen at all when we did your top 10. That was a mistake on our part.
Well, you're right, but there's other guys on here too where I go, damn, we didn't talk about them either.
Sure.
Now, hey. Releases, that's great. That's great. Yeah, they're slick. They're slick, these 2. Keenan Allen, Davante Adams, they understand how to set DBs up. They're very patient at the line of scrimmage. They're really into the nuances of the position and technique-wise. And, making sure they get off the line of scrimmage cleanly. So yes, but there's just more to it than that to me. Again, Keenan Allen really good, but there's certain offenses in football that if you put Keenan Allen in, you wouldn't know he's Keenan Allen. There's just not enough physical raw ability to me there. It's all route running. That's all it is. There's nothing after the catch. There's no threat on the outside of him running by you. He's not a huge physical body. So he needs to be in an offense that really knows how to utilize a slot receiver. And he's awesome at it. I'm not trying to sit here and say he's not, but I'm just saying Keenan Allen couldn't play for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what I'm telling you. Couldn't play for him. There wouldn't be a spot on the field for him. He wouldn't start over Sammy Watkins. He wouldn't start over Tyreek Hill. That's not what they do. They're not into 5-yard, option routes or, work the middle of the field. You see Kansas City, they're into, zoom, 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 zoom. That's what they want to do. So Keenan Allen can't play for the Seattle Seahawks. They don't know how to use that position either. He couldn't start over Lockett or DK Metcalf in that offense. So that's where I push back with those type of guys like that. Awesome player, but it needs to be the right circumstance around him for everybody to really realize what kind of player he is. And, I really like Keenan Allen, but, that's my argument against that.
There's one person that kind of agrees with you on some of the things you just said about Keenan Allen, and that is Keenan Allen, because he tweeted out this, I think it was earlier today or late last night. Okay, I'm tired of biting my tongue. At Cheetah, at Mike Evans, at Chris Godwin's. At Cheetah is Tyreek Hill.
Right.
And the list goes on. He says, are not a better receiver than me. Faster than me every day of the week. But separation, child, please. So he kind of agrees with you, but he feels like he is in a league by himself when it comes to separating from other receivers. I did check the next-gen stats over on NFL, and he's not number one in separation. Actually, Tyreek Hill is near the top, and he's kind of middle of the pack. But he says no one's better, which, hey, the dude's got confidence in his own game. I can't fault him for that.
No, me neither. And, listen, he does. He knows how to get open. I'm not trying to, again, I'm trying to discredit. That's why I don't like doing this all the time because, I have the ultimate respect for the guy. I really do.
Not being in the top 10 doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you're
exactly
not currently in your top 10.
That's right. I mean, Keenan, I'll switch careers with you right now. You can come over here and do this. I'll go do that and get your paycheck, and we'll go from there. That's fine with me. I mean, I'm certainly not trying to say it like that. So, yeah, thanks for sticking up for me there. But, yeah, listen, I think, again, people are getting into the nuances of the position and just going, if he's better at the nuances of the position, he's better. No, that doesn't mean anything. That's wrong, Joe Montana probably knew more football than Brett Favre and could read a defense and everything. But Joe Montana can't do what Brett Favre can do. Brett Favre was a better player. That's the way I look at it. Mike Evans, what he's asked to do, he doesn't get system plays like Keenan Allen does all the time. They just go run a deep post, run a deep cross, run and go route. You're faster. You're better than them. We don't care who's covering you. We're going to throw you the ball. That's what he's asked to do. It's not an offense going, oh, we're going to put him here and this will help him get open. No, right. They base the whole offense around, here's this guy. He gets open against everybody. And now we're going to have to force you to double team him. And now we're going to get other people open because you're so worried about that guy. And that's where I go, Mike Evans is a game changer that way. And Tyreek Hill is a game changer. I mean, again, I would argue, and this to me, is Tyreek Hill a gooder route runner as Michael Thomas or Keenan Allen or Davante Adams? No. Is his hands as good as theirs? Maybe not. I don't know. But they're not as dangerous as he is. I know that. Mm-hmm. And they don't garner the guard, get as much attention as he does. My ear pad went out.
If you're just listening, Chris is furiously changing his AirPods right now. As I feel, hey, hold on, I got this, Chris. I can fill the gap. Oh no, you're back. Okay, go ahead.
I'm back, baby. I'm back. But again, I'm big into. I watch how defenses approach these players, and this is to me where people are dropping the ball. Tyreek Hill gets more attention thrown at him than just about any receiver I've seen in recent history. I mean, it's up there with like Odell when he was in his prime, Julio Jones, Randy Moss back in his prime, Marvin Harrison's of the world. I'll still go. New England played a defense they've never played in the history of since I've been studying New England film, an AFC Championship game against Tyreek Hill. They haven't done that against anybody. They double teamed him every play, the whole game almost. They didn't do that against Keenan Allen the week before. They played the Chargers the week before. They didn't double team him one time. Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying too. So there's more than stats and everything like that. And yeah, route running. I don't look at it as just being the route runner. It's about what you do for your offense, the plays you make, the explosive plays, how you change the other team's game plan because you're on the field. And to me, that's not even close. Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans affect the game plan way more than a Keenan Allen or Davante Adams.
And what your list also did do is it created a rift not only between you and Keenan Allen and you and Davante Adams, but Mike Evans and Keenan Allen now. Now they're going back and forth because of something that you started, Chris. Mike Evans responds to when Keenan says he's tired of biting his tongue, that Mike Evans is a better receiver. He's a better separation guy. Mike Evans responds by saying, "You tagged the wrong Chris Godwin, LOL." So first of all, he just crutches him for putting the wrong @ handle for Chris Godwin in there. And then he goes, "And don't be mad at us. We ain't make the rankings or care about them. I like the confidence, but be realistic. You not on my level, bro." So your list is not, it's just created hate. You're kind of like like Donald Trump. Like you throw something out there and then everyone else now fights about it and you just step away from the burning embers.
Okay, well, if you want to continue this show and doing it with me, don't compare me to Donald Trump again, okay? All right. All right.
Don't wear an NBC polo or compare you to Donald Trump. Those are
don't do that. I have a certain amount of no-nos, right? Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Like I said, and Mike Evans to me he's one of the most underrated players in our league right now. Nobody ever puts him in the conversation for one of the top receivers. And he's clearly been that ever since he's gotten into the NFL. So, and again, listen, think about no Jarvis Landry, no Deebo Samuel, no Adam Thielen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Jarvis Landry was another one who directly replied to you, and he replied with a gif of Denzel Washington just shaking his head, being in disbelief that he said another year of not being considered one of the best or something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
I know. I'm sorry. I love Jarvis Landry. I do. He's a baller. He's a all-out, football player, can do everything. He was another one. I was like, damn, am I not going to have Jarvis Landry on this list? And I've been around Jarvis too. And we've hung out a little. He's not going to like me next time I see him. I know that. But you know what I'll say?
Just say it was motivating. Just say you were trying to motivate them. You care so much about them that you wanted to motivate them.
Hey, what I will say to them in all seriousness is, listen, go out there. I hope all of them prove me wrong. And as I always say to you, I'll be the first to admit I was wrong. Or when you do shit on my rankings and show that you should have been there, I'll be the first one to go, I was an idiot, or I was wrong, or this guy's the man, or whatever it may be. I'm not going to sit here and just be stubborn and stay to my rankings forever. It'll never change.
Yeah, and you've shown that before. You've shown that with Tom Brady and Drew Brees. If they prove you wrong, they prove you wrong. Pete says his favorite responses were the people that wanted to show what they would have done with the top 10 rankings, but went to top 15 because it was too hard for them to leave people off. So they
how much did I see that? I wanted to be like, are you serious? See,
yeah,
I know that's why Twitter drives me freaking crazy sometimes. But I know it was a good exercise. It was good. Even if the price was me getting shit on social media.
All right. I think that's good. I think we got the biggest stories there from your wide receiver rankings. Kyle was great. When's Kyle coming back? Does he do it like once a year now, you think?
No, he said because I went an hour, he wouldn't be back to like episode 468. So it's going to be a few years.
That's good. And here's the fun thing now, Chris, is that you can do the running back rankings now, and I should just start thinking about who you're going to make mad in this running back rankings right now. If it's going to be Ezekiel Elliott or who's going to come tweeting at you, because this is going to be huge when you leave off some of the best guys in the top 10.
Oh, I know. Oh, you know what I really look at, because at first I thought I was only going to do the top 5 wide receivers, and I was like, okay, that's better, because people could swallow that better. When you get in the top 10, I don't know what it is. Then people start getting mad at the people you left off. When top 5, they'll be like, oh, I would have put this guy in my top 5 or that guy in my top 5.
Yeah.
But when you make 10, then it's like a lot of people get offended. There's less people that I think feel like belong in the top 5 as compared to maybe the top 10.
Can I give you a preview of what you're going to get? Because you remember, I think it was beginning of quarantine, or maybe it was April. Yeah, it was April, where I did my top 5 running backs in the NFL. Do you remember that?
I do.
It was like I pretended I was Chris Simms there just for a second. And I did, because you were doing your top 5 running backs in college. So I was like, I'll do the NFL ones. I know those guys. And I went Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Delvin Cook, and Alvin Kamara. I got heat. Pete Notes from The Rock, not The Rock, but someone called The Rock on Twitter, said, can we stop with Alvin Kamara as a top 5 back? And so I was like, man, this is what it's like to be Chris Simms over here. I gotta defend my rankings. So I actually am looking forward to seeing what you think as far as running backs. I think we were pretty similar back when we talked in April, but a lot has changed since then. So we'll see.
Yep.
If we still
I'm sure we'll be doing another exercise for social media to crap on me very shortly. And I do think running backs will happen at some point during training camp or something like that. But it's another great exercise. It really is. There's some good ones. I know I've already got a top 5 in my head to a degree, but I'm already going to my top 5 looking at it going, man, I'm going to leave those 2 or 3 guys out of my top 5. Is that right?
Oh, man.
So yeah, it won't be easy. We'll see how it goes, but that's it, right? We hit it all. We're done.
That's it. We hit it all. I think so. Unless there's anything else you want to talk. Why does it feel short? My timer says 1:20. What hour and 22? I do feel like we should fill up another 8 minutes here, maybe.
No, thank you. I've talked enough today. Thank you very much. Whose armpits are sweatier though? That's what I'd like to see. I got just a little dab.
Oh my gosh! What happened to me?
You lost. Yes, I just wanted to make sure. Yep, keep them down, kid. We don't need to see that. All right.
That was bad. Right. This is the color shirt though. This is a bad shirt for armpits. There's some shirts that show it way more than others.
Yeah, right. Anything not black shows up way more than others. Yes. Thank you for that deep thought, Jack Candy. That's it. Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Ahmed had the sweatiest armpits of this podcast. We'll be back on Thursday. We're going to have Big Phil, I think, in the fold on Thursday. And, of course, we'll continue to monitor the league, see what's going on throughout the NFL. No more rankings coming up this week. I'm not doing it this week. I know that. Ahmed, you back on with us Thursday?
I think so. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back from Maine. I did the trip with the family, and so now I'm back in Connecticut for the long haul.
All right, that's good to hear. All right, so me and Ahmed will be back Thursday for Chris Simms Unbuttoned. All right, Ahmed, let's clap it up, baby.
Well done, everyone.
Well done.
With the arms down. I'm gonna keep the arms down.
Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Simms Unbuttoned Podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.